The government is considering the possible pre-termination of the LTO's contract with its IT provider Stradcom Corporation due to alleged several irregularities. This comes as Stradcom deals with an ownership dispute. Here's a look at the issues.
The palace is reviewing the government's contract with LTO information technology provider Stradcom. President Aquino says the government is paying Stradcom more than ₱1 billion every year, even without certain benefits to the public. The president is not satisfied with Stradcom's work when it supposedly turned in poorly executed certificates of registration during the August 2010 hostage crisis in Manila. The president says Stradcom's explanation on its poor performance is unacceptable. On Wednesday, President Aquino defended his decision to allow Land Transportation Chief Virginia Torres to resume her duties a day earlier after going on a 60-day leave.
The Chief Presidential Legal Counsel is actually reviewing the findings of the DOJ, but bottom line, let's give the person naman some credit.
Speaking in Cotabato City, the president credited Torres for exposing irregularities such as Stradcom allegedly giving substandard services. He says public money is being used to pay Stradcom ₱1.3 billion annually for the work it renders.
Si Asik Torres is responsible for calling to my attention yung the issue of Stradcom and LTO. Stradcom, I found out subsequently, has something like ₱1.3 billion that the people are paying for, okay, every year. Hindi yung from the time they got the contract. This is annually ₱1.3 billion. So what is the service that we get from them? Sagutin na lang yung tanong. Yung ₱1.3 billion kinikita nyo, no? At yung nyo, wala akong pakialam kung sino may-ari ng kumpanya. Ano ang pakinabang ng taong bayan?
The Justice Department had earlier recommended Torres' suspension to give way to a probe into her involvement in Stradcom's ownership dispute. The Chief Presidential Legal Counsel is currently reviewing the findings of the DOJ. Caroline Howard, ABS-CBN News.
Now joining us today are Stradcom Corporation President Cezar Quiambao, in a very rare moment, and Stradcom Vice President for Legal and Corporate Secretary Eric Pilapil. Welcome to Hot Copy, gentlemen. All right. Now, I want people to understand exactly the issue of Stradcom, but let me start with this. Stradcom is extremely unpopular. Why do you think is that? Okay, let's start with Cesar. I'll call you Cesar, sir.
Yes, Karen.
Okay, why is Stradcom unpopular?
Well, I think Stradcom is unpopular because, firstly, it deals with public and, minor disturbances of public service affects the popularity. Secondly, I think Stradcom, from day one, at the time of the bidding process, there were already, conflicts of interest. For example, the losing bidder of this project has been there for the last 26 years. Until today, is still causing problems with Stradcom. Karen, if you notice, every Congress, we are being investigated. In the media, there are always issues against Stradcom. But this is caused by what you call unfriendly competition. What's happening to Stradcom is really the desire of some people with power to really put Stradcom down.
Okay. Attorney?
Maybe it's we may need to bring in the people to see what the service that we really render, so that there is an understanding that certain functions are performed by the IT provider, and there are certain functions that are outside our scope. For example, it does not depart from the fact that the actual functions of registration or licensing is still done by the officials of the government and LTO. And there are some functions which are done by other things like emission testing or drug testing. Or
that's not yours.
That's not ours. Those things happen before they are submitted or given to LTO officials or Stradcom.
Okay. All right. So for our viewers to really understand first holistically what the company is about so that we can move forward. Stradcom was awarded the contract in 1997, right? And you had to put up the IT infrastructure for this. This was under the Build, Own, Operate, Transfer scheme, meaning the proponent, which is Stradcom, spends for everything, no cash out from the government. So you spent how much to build the IT infrastructure?
At the time in
1997,
98, all the way to the completion of the project, it's close to $100 million.
$100 million. So
yes.
You spent for that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, your concession is 10 years.
10 years from the time of acceptance.
From acceptance. So when did it actually start, the 10 years? 2003?
Yes, February of 2003.
Okay. So your contract ends 2013.
That's correct.
Now, the President is talking about a possible pre-termination of your contract. Is that possible?
Well, in due respect to the President, the government, we signed the contract with the Republic of the Philippines, not to any other LTO official, So it's a contract between Stradcom and the Republic of the Philippines. Now, there are provisions in the contract that in case the government decides to take over or pre-terminate the contract or nationalize the project, there is what you call a just compensation. We're open to any investigation or negotiation, but of course, we just request that the sanctity of the contract should be observed and protected.
Okay. So let's say they're toying around with a pre-termination idea. I mean, it's been repeated. I'm not saying they will. How much will the government have to pay you, Stradcom?
Well, there is what you call just compensation, Karen. When this project was bidded out, we expected to have an internal rate of return of 29%.
In 10 years?
After the concession period. However, because of some circumstances that happened in between, especially from the beginning all the way up to 2005, the company really suffered a setback.
Okay.
The company was on the red for over $1 billion until 2005, December. As of December 31, 2010, Karen, believe it or not, because the perception that Stradcom is making a lot of money.
Yeah, $1 billion a year.
But
that's what Atty Torres told the President.
Let's go to the numbers, Karen.
Okay, the numbers.
Based on our audited financial statements, which is a public document being submitted to the Securities and Exchange Commission and to the Bureau of Internal Revenue, audited by SGB, our internal rate of return as of December 31, 2010, Karen, is negative 402%.
So hindi kumikita ang
Hindi
Stradcom?
pa.
Hindi pa kumikita?
Hindi pa. But, based on projections, if
by the time
we end, we'll be making around 9.1%.
Sana binangka mo na lang yung 100 million.
Precisely. Pag ako'y Chinese, I should double my money every 5 years. I should have a $400 million or 16 billion pesos by the year 2013. We will not have that, Karen. We will only have 1.6 or 9.1% over 13 years, including the construction period.
Okay. But
so
then,
it was not really what you call rewarding. But during the bidding process, in the terms of reference, Karen, this is what inspired us to really participate in PPP project. The terms of reference says the first contract will be 10 years and it can be renewed
till 50
every
years.
10 years for a maximum
of 50
period. Hindi ba?
Yeah, I read it.
Hindi ba you will really...
if you are a private enterprise, you will want to get into private-public partnership.
Yes.
But clearly, this doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, that's the risk that we have to take. You know? Yan ang risk, what you call political risk, na napaka-sensitive for every investor to any government project.
Now, is that good too?
That's bad, especially if you pre-terminate a contract which we never got a notice or any letter saying that we have defaulted or we are we are not delivering the service publicly. We did not. As a matter of fact, kami na dapat mag-default sa gobyerno. We are not doing that.
Okay. Now, let's move on to present day. Coming from that, is the government owes Stradcom actually 1.3 billion pesos in back pay.
Yes.
Meaning they do admit they owe you.
Yes.
Yes.
It's there.
Yes.
But Asek Torres says she doesn't know who to give it to. To you or to the other group, the Zumbilya group na claiming silang may-ari ng Stradcom. So you have a double layer of a problem
That's correct.
wherein the ownership dispute is being used
Yes.
also to not pay you.
Correct, correct.
Sino ba may-ari talaga ng
Nakakalungkot,
Stradcom?
pero, you know, Asik Torres was the one who filed an interpleader case. Neither party has a corporate, intercorporate case. Wala kami, you know. As a matter of fact, after Asik Torres filed the case in the court, filed the interpleader, asking the court, sino ba may-ari ng Stradcom? However, Asik Torres keeps writing me as president of Stradcom.
Okay.
So, di ba? Then, on April 4, Asik Torres released some money to the land bank and asked us to confirm.
104,000
Yeah, that's
in payment to Stradcom.
No, in
Ano?
payment
Or
back
something
to LTO because
Okay.
some reconciliation accounts.
Okay. So what you are saying is clearly when it comes to official documents, she recognizes you
Yeah.
as the president and CEO of
Yes.
Stradcom.
Yes, and we are the one rendering the services until today.
Yeah. Now, the hard part
Hindi
is,
ba nakakatawa yan?
but then the hard part is clearly, Asek Torres has, in a way, publicly questioned really the ownership of Stradcom.
Well, that's correct, Karen. Pero anong basis niya? You know, if you are in our shoes, supposing you are occupying a certain property,
Yeah.
di ba? Then somebody goes inside your house saying, I own this house.
Yeah.
Di ba hanapin mo yung title of ownership kung siya talaga may-ari?
So walang titulo yung Zumbilya Group.
Wala.
What does the Supreme Court say, Attorney Pilapil? So we can move on from the what does the Supreme Court say?
No, taking off from the point of Mr. Quiambao, Karen, di ba? A proof of ownership of land, pakita ng titulo.
Oh.
Proof of ownership of a corporation, you take a look at the stock and transfer book.
Okay.
In this is the stock and transfer book of Stradcom, duly registered with the SEC.
Okay, can we
In
look
this
at okay.
document, you will not see the name of Mr. Zumbilya or Mr. Yuhico or
Nothing.
the other people whom he say are now the incumbent owners or directors.
Now, Attorney,
of
why are they
Stradcom.
claiming? Why did this happen in the first place?
Your guess is as good as mine, but they seem to be pointing to a decision of a different company, a court decision of a different company called Strategic Alliance Development Corporation.
You were partners then?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.